Hello everyone, my name is Jess and welcome back to another Bakugan video. Today we're going to be doing a Q&A, question and answer. Have not done one of these in a long time. So we hit 6,000 subscribers, which is awesome. And I thought that this would be a great way to kind of commemorate that by having you guys ask me questions. It can be anything, but with all these new members, it might be great just to get to know me a little better and what I do. And so here we go. So to get started, we have SMG Fan 2000 who says that Battle Gear was the best mechanic and Subterra was always underrated and underrepresented. And we all wish the current Bakugan toy makers would get smart and make legacy toys like Leonidas for us older fans, hence giving them business and bringing people to the new Bakugan. Thoughts? So I actually have an answer for this, not even an opinion, like I have an actual answer. So if you have not seen my history of Bakugan video, which was for 5,000 subscribers, which doesn't feel very long ago, essentially Spin Master was having trouble with creating the ideas and concepts for Bakugan, so they partnered with Sega to make the toys, and they also developed the game. So any legacy Bakugan you see was a partnership between Spin Master and Sega. So after Legacy, Spin Master just started making Bakugan by themselves. So that means any legacy toy that was not created can't really be created because Sega owns the rights to some of the concepts. So like when you see Leonidas in the game, that was a concept that Sega helped create. Therefore, Spin Master does not have full rights to it, so they can't distribute it unless they get the materials and access from Sega. So anything you see related to Legacy can't necessarily be done because Sega owns half the rights. Hope that answers your question. If you were able to make your own Bakugan gimmicks, what would it be? And if you were able to choose any franchise to get collaboration with Bakugan, what franchise would you choose? Ooh. So I think in terms of gimmicks, something that would be kind of cool would be the ability to change the Bakugan's attribute. And not in the sense of like a power wheel, but in the sense of like almost like a mood ring or like heat sensitive where you can rub parts of the Bakugan and the heat changes the color on it. So maybe it's like a blue color, like maybe certain like the highlights of the Bakugan are blue. And then when you rub that with your thumb or put hot breath on it, it turns it to like a different color, like red. That would be pretty cool. Again, I don't think it'd be very useful in battle, but it'd be a cool concept. And then franchise to get a collaboration with Bakugan? That's another good question. I think the Marvel was a very good start, but I don't think it necessarily went all the way through. But Pokemon might be something cool. Just to get Pokemon cards themed like Bakugan would be kind of neat. I'm not sure how that would work since they're both like TCG, but something like that would be cool. Even to be able to catch Bakugan like Pokemon, or just have like a Pokemon based off like Dragonoid or something, would be kind of cool. BakuFan says, what is your favorite Bakugan gimmick, and have I visited any official Bakugan events? No, I've never visited an official Bakugan event, but maybe sometime in the future. And in terms of favorite gimmick, I really like the spinning. The spinning's cool, it's useless, it doesn't work in battle, but the spinning gimmick's really cool. Tia Talk says, favorite memory of Bakugan as a kid. So when I was a kid, there was a Toys R Us near this office my dad would clean like part-time. And so sometimes I would go and help him do it just to speed up the process. And as a reward, he would take me to that Toys R Us. And so I would always go to the Bakugan section and look at the Bakugan and stuff. Like I remember like really early on trying to find like a Pyrus Dragonoid and being like, oh, they don't have it, or oh, they have it, you know. So I would always go and look for Bakugan when I had the chance after we cleaned the office. Molfitz 3078 says, which Bakugan would you want made from the Legacy show that was never made or forgotten? Probably Silent Naga or the 5th Paladin. I think both of those are two very good ones. Silent Naga, we have a regular Naga, but it doesn't look like Naga, and the Silent Naga is way cooler. And then the 5th Paladin's cool because the shields can like fire off. So one of those would definitely be like top consideration for me. Gorgia766 says, what was the hardest Bakugan or support piece to find? So I have two. I can actually show them to you. So the hardest pieces for me to find were this Aquas Radisson, which was very hard to find. I'm not sure if it's focusing. Let's see. Yeah. So this Aquas Radisson was pretty difficult. It just took me a very, very long time to actually get. But there he is. So that was kind of tough. And then, let's see. Please don't fall. Okay. And then the Lanzato Baku Nano took me absolutely months. If you're a fan of the channel or have been on the channel for a while, you'll know that this took me literal months. I can't even remember how long, but just constant everyday searching to get that Lanzato Baku Nano. So that's probably the hardest. My Translucent Knight Percival was also up there for a bit, but I just think those two blew it out of the water for just difficulty. Have you ever watched Bakugan Legacy anime in different languages? I found that there were some differences between translations. Yeah, so I've watched a little bit of the Japanese. Not enough to like really see a bunch of differences, but I know there were different languages have different translations, so you can interpret it differently. As well as the Japanese kept certain things in that the US version actually cut out. Matthew David Media says, do you think this is going to get out of control price-wise? So far it's kind of good, then bad, then alright. I don't know. I still have a lot of fun collecting them. Are you talking about Bakugan? Like, just the price of Bakugan getting out of control? So, this is not something I've analyzed too deeply recently, but in terms of marketing value and stuff, the more people buy Bakugan, the more in demand they are. If you're talking specifically about Legacy. So like you say, so far it was kind of good at first, and then it got bad. So at least when I started collecting 2 years ago, Bakugan collecting was prices were decent, and then it got bad because the demand got high, and then they actually leveled out some. So you can actually see this with some Hydronoid. So if you look at Darkest Hydronoid, you can actually tell just looking at prices over time. So at first they were like $200, $300. Then people tried to sell them for $600. And you can still find those, don't get me wrong. But recently I've seen a couple sell for like $200 to $300 again. So it's getting better, but that's just the market. It's going to fluctuate on demand. So if people aren't buying a Bakugan, ideally sellers lower that price. Make sense? I am a gamer 4617 says, which missing Bakugan do you really want to have in your collection and why? So, for most of you, if you know, my collection's mostly complete. There's not a whole lot I need, except, like, if I want to collect some Bakutech stuff. But technically there is one, and it is a Subterra Cycloid. I need a B2 Subterra Cycloid to complete my collection. It's the only side character Bakugan I do not have from the Legacy series, like the first season. It's one that I've considered getting, but people are trying to sell them for $300 to $400, and I'm not paying that. So maybe around my birthday or something to celebrate, I might see if people are willing to sell some, but I'm not buying one for $400 at all. We'll see. Yeet King says, do you think that Dan should have gotten partner swaps like the rest of the team? This is an interesting question. So, I think story-wise, it doesn't make sense. Story-wise, Drago was like destined to save Astroya. And story-wise, that's what he did. So no, I don't think it makes sense. If Dan would have swapped partners, I don't think it would have worked. Orman Stop Motion says, do you play video games? What is your favorite underrated Bakugan? And how did you learn that Alice was Masquerade? Love your videos, by the way. Thank you. So yes, I play video games. I grew up playing all kinds of stuff. Growing up, I played Sonic Adventure 2 Battle as a kid, as well as Pokemon. I've played many a Call of Duty and the Zombies game modes for that. I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan. I don't know how I feel about the new one coming out, but huge Assassin's Creed fan, as well as various story games. If you actually look at the very first videos on this channel, it was originally supposed to be some kind of gaming channel. I was just testing the waters, so I actually have playthroughs of a few story-based games on there. So a little bit of lore on the channel. I don't believe they have many views or anything, but it's still cool nonetheless. Like, if you want to go back and see the early days of the channel before Bakugan was a thing for me, check those out. Favorite underrated Bakugan? Probably? I really like Abyss Omega. I think Abyss Omega is a really cool addition, and just the Bakugan ball design's good, and it only really got like one feature in the show, so kind of disappointing we didn't get to see more of it, but I really like that Bakugan. And how'd you learn Alice was Masquerade? Well, I watched the show, so I think I just released a video on Masquerade and how he could have won. But if you haven't seen that, that also gives a pretty in-depth view of like a lot of things. But in that, I mention how it's pretty obvious towards the end. You can kind of tell what's going on. But yeah, I watched the show. That's how I figured it out. Will we see more battles, HSP version, Battle Brawlers version, etc.? So yes, I plan to do more battling videos. It's just it's a lot harder to make those because you have to get people to actually brawl with you, and sometimes that's easier said than done. For HSP version, unfortunately, no, I don't have any HSP cards. I used to. I think I sold them all to someone or something like that. I can't remember. But yes, I plan on making some more deck building videos and then using those in a brawl to kind of showcase them. So in the future at some point, not sure when. Which spinning Bakugan is my favorite? Knight Percival. If Bakutech had monster forms, what would they look like? I would imagine they would look sort of like Generation 3's Bakugan, but not the same style. It would have an anime style, but like when the Generation 3 get their titanium or gold armor parts, that's what we would see. So it'd be like, imagine like you know, just normal Bakugan, like much bigger, anime designed, but with like metal parts on them. I think that'd be super cool. Alexander DeRose, I think I'm pronouncing that right, 6400 says, how much did you pay for single-headed Darkest Hydronoid? I think it was like $161 and something cents, $162 and something cents. I won it on a bid. I've mentioned this in quite a few videos, so yeah, much less than the current market price. Baku Talk says, how would you cook fried rice? Dang, I haven't cooked fried rice in a while. I did make rice balls the other day. I guess I would just cook some rice up and then fry it with some soy sauce or something like that. Throw in some veggies. I love fried rice, so. Baku Twin says, thoughts on the Super Assault Bakugan? So, I really like the Super Assault Bakugan. I think that they should have been distributed a little bit better, because I think throwing them all into one season kind of, was overwhelming, because we had the special attack Bakugan in the first and second season, but stretching that out into Mectanium Surge a little bit better would have been more beneficial, I think. But I really like the Super Assault. Some of the light up and like sound making Bakugan, even the rattling ones, are really cool. Some I have my eyes on right now is like the Pyrus Chance Dragonoid. I think the dice throwing's cool. Some of like the Quake Dragonoids, or like I think it's Quake-X Gorham. Did you guys know there was another Gorham besides Gorham and Hammer Gorham? Yeah, it's Quake-X Gorham. It's pretty cool. Check him out. Sapphire says, favorite Pokemon of all time? Oh, this is tough. Okay, there's a couple. I really like Ninetales. Ninetales is cool. I also really like, this is going to be as a shock for some of you, but Hisuian Zoroark, pretty cool. I have a Pokemon card of him. And then I really like Darkrai. So between those, I don't know, man. Probably Darkrai. Darkrai is pretty sick, but I never play with him in the game. Like, it's always a Ninetales if I play. So, I don't know. Favorite starter, too, is Turtwig. OG. First Pokemon game I played was Pearl, and I picked Turtwig because I was so excited. I just started mashing buttons, and that's who I picked. Do I have a Gen 2 collection? Yes. It's not very large, but there are videos. If you go to the channel playlist, there's a whole playlist of, like, reboot Bakugan that I've reviewed and stuff. I actually have one. I actually have this. This is a Elemental Rare Nilius I've just got on my shelf, so yeah, I got him, and then I've got a couple others up there as well. What about that all-white prototype first-gen Dragonoid? You just asking my opinions on it? So yeah, if you're not aware, there is a all-white Dragonoid that people refer to as a prototype. It's not a prototype. It came in one of the early Japanese, I think it was like one of the arena packs or something. It was in a pack. You can see packaging of it. I'll try and pull something up for it. But yeah, it's not a prototype. It was just sold that way. I don't know if that's like an early Darkest type prototype or what, but yeah, that's just how it was sold. So not really a prototype. I don't think it's worth all the hype some people try and give it, because it's not a real prototype. It's just how it was sold. Lastly, Juiceman Z08 says, beef, chicken, or fish? Interesting. I don't actually like fish. I grew up surrounded by fish my whole life. My grandpa used to come home from fishing and chop up fish on the back of his truck, and then it would just start smelling, and I didn't like that. So fish ruined for me, but beef and chicken, gotta go with chicken. I just feel like there's so much more chickens in and can be like cooked in different ways. So definitely chicken. Alright guys, and that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for the questions. I really appreciate that, and I really enjoyed this video. And I hope you enjoy it too. If you did, feel free to leave a like, drop a comment, and of course subscribe for more Bakugan content. My name is Jesse, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.